Rebel News has almost 2 million subscribers under YouTube, which is sort of a miracle because for I think it was 8 years, they throttled us, they completely demonetized us, but that's pretty big. In fact, it's the largest news following in Canada that is not with a state outlet. The CBC actually has more, I will confess, but no other private media does. But I attributed probably 500,000 of those YouTube subscribers to our guest today. His name is Gavin McInnes. And in the early days, he, I think, lived up to the highest ideals of being a rebel. Sense of humor, skewering political correctness, and sort of sneaking in a conservative message. I think he was hip with the cool kids before that was a thing. I mean, in fact, he was, I think, in the vein of Dr. Jordan Peterson, 12 Rules for Life, How to Be a Man, before any of that stuff had a proper name. Joining me now from New York is our friend Gavin McInnes. Gavin, great to see you again. I say it to everyone. I really think you helped build Rebel News, especially in the early days.
I appreciate that. I'm not bananas about the term helped. I think I built Rebel News, and I think 500,000 is about 500,000.
You know what, though? You saw something before most people did, that young men had no one talking to them, listening to them, respecting them, and showing them the way. I think Andrew Tate came in later, and he had his many flaws. Jordan Peterson came in later. And in a way, Charlie Kirk came in later. But I think you identified that young men, not just young white men, other young men too, didn't have anyone in society that they could say, I want to follow that guy. I want to live my potential and be like that guy. I really think you played that role. You made a movie to that effect called How to Be a Man.
I did indeed. Yeah, I think it's kind of Canadian culture. It's hoser culture. And that is rooted in Scottish culture, which is like, your partner's rotten. Come on, get up, you wee Jesse. And when I found out that my producer, Ben Ratner, was a virgin at the age of 24 and didn't have a problem with it, I said, we are in big trouble. This is an issue. And so I started the Proud Boys as this sort of jokey way to get men to be men again, like grow some facial hair, drink some beer, get a motorcycle, practice some sort of boxing. And I think it exploded not because of my irreverent charm, but because there was this massive demand for it. Men want to be men. Men wanted men's clubs, and men had men's clubs from the Industrial Revolution to the 80s. So when I started one on a lark, it just exploded because someone was political correctness had put their finger in the dam of masculinity, and all I had to do was pull it out. And it's a natural evolution. Men like hanging out with guys. And I remember, sorry to blab on, but when I was a kid in Kanata, Ontario, which is near Carp, we called them Carpies. They were really just rednecks. They were hosers. And they found out that I was a virgin at 17. And they go, Big Kimmy's at the house right now. He's willing. If you don't come over here right now and take care of this, we are going to pound the crap out of you. And I just took that same mentality to New York City.
You know, it's funny because young people, millennials, Gen Z, they're dating less than ever. They're having sex less than ever. They're getting married less than ever. They're starting families less than ever. I think some of it's pornography, some of it's video games. I'm terrified when you add in a humanoid robot to those things, what that's going to do. And I mean, Elon Musk has pledged to put 1 million humanoid robots into the world. And I think if men can get an AI girlfriend more easily than a real life girlfriend, I'm really worried about two things. I think being a man includes several parts. One is working hard to pay for your family. Well, if a robot does that for you, you don't have any need to get up early and work hard. That's half of being a man. And I think interacting with women, knowing how to propose and interact with women, if that's replaced by robots, I mean, I don't want to sound goofy or sci-fi here, but I'm worried about that. Yuval Noah Harari of the World Economic Forum says the future for people like that is drugs and video games.
You know who you're talking to? I am the leader in the anti-talking about robots movement. yesterday we did an entire show talking about how sick we are of hearing people talk about effing humanoids. That's not a thing. Those things are always going to cost $230,000. There will always be maids to do our work. You're definitely right, though, about pornography, OnlyFans, Me Too. Those have all destroyed dating. They've made men petrified of women. But don't go doing that Fox News thing where we leak into the possibility of humanoids. They are way too expensive. I did a whole show yesterday on the myth of robots.
All right, I look forward to reading it.
Reading it,
watching it. Pardon me. I don't know. I mean, the sex industry was at the leading edge of videotape, leading edge of the internet. I'm not deeply familiar with the sex industry, but I've got to imagine there are billions of dollars being spent on sexual purposes for robots. And even if it's not a mass item, I think it'll further erode the interaction between the sexes.
I strongly disagree with you on this. It's the one thing that I've disagreed with you on in about 30 years.
I made a joke to my wife yesterday. I said that there'll be a market for male robots that just go like this and say, uh-huh. My wife was telling me a story that was so long. And I said, we need a robot just to be so very, very attentive. That would sell. Tell me that wouldn't sell.
What you do, take a picture of your face like this, and then print out your eyes, and then cut out the glasses shape of your eyes and glue them onto the back of your glasses facing out. And then you could just be like this the whole time she tells stories. It'll take her hours to notice. And then on your phone, just play a loop of No, let's not let our humanoid war distract us from a very important subject, which is, men have given up. And I think, I'm sorry to be crude, but I think masturbating is a big part of this. When you and I were young, a picture of a naked lady was the biggest deal in the universe. You would fold it, you'd put it in your wallet, you'd put masking tape on the folds so that it wouldn't fall apart as you folded and unfolded it 300 times in your Velcro wallet. Now they have pornography it's so disgusting. It's all incest and trannies, and they're off on this wild tangent. When girls finally do comply, they end up with this, sodomite pervert who acts like he's the Sultan of Dubai and just added another girl to his harem. So she's completely turned off too. Another major factor that no one discusses is boomers and their divorce. They invented divorce in the 80s. And I remember being 10 and seeing all my friends crying at Christmas because their parents had got divorced on a whim because they were bored. And what that did is it traumatized Gen X, and they just don't want to get married anymore. And you see all these women my age, our age, and they're childless, and they're 50, and they're really depressed because they screwed up. So, I'm known as the Proud Boys guy, the white supremacist guy, the Nazi, the Vice magazine guy. But my real work today, and by the way, we've got a 24-hour marathon coming up at 2 p.m. on censored.tv. That's why I'm wearing this tux. My goal, my job is to get guys to put a ring on it.
Yeah.
And for the media never reports on this, but I literally have hundreds upon hundreds of emails from people sending me their baby pics and saying, thanks, man. You taught me to get off my ass and put a ring on it. And that is more important than pretty much anything, is getting more Western families.
Yeah. There are certain things that I think make a man. One of them is military or adventure or travel or some contained lawful violence, not chaotic violence, but joining the army. I mean, it's hard to believe that Winston Churchill was in 5 wars in his life. There was a time when you reached a certain age, you went off to seek your fortune, aka fight in the empire somewhere. Now I see the United Kingdom is talking really butch about maybe we need conscription, maybe we're going to go to war in Europe for Ukraine. And I think that men have been demoralized. I think you've got a leftist prime minister who has a war, not of necessity, but of ideology. And I think that there's no British patriotic mass that says, yeah, right on, we'll follow this wishy-washy, self-hating, anti-British prime minister into a whimsical war against Russia. Like it's so interesting that he's reaching for that butch, we want a strong army. after basically denigrating men, drumming white straight men out of the military, and now expecting them to serve one of his political missions. I think it's very fascinating to watch the reaction in the UK. No one wants to fight.
Well, look at what the military has done to itself. Talk to any real man, any Green Beret, someone like Terry Shepard down here in the States, and they go, the military's been ruined. Every time you try to be a real man, you're chastised, you're reprimanded, you use the wrong pronouns, you were too rude. Like, think of Platoon or whatever, with these drill sergeants just screaming in your face, saying things I can't say on Rebel or you'll get deplatformed. And the reason you do that, there's a method to the madness. You're separating the wheat from the chaff. And without that, you don't have a military. You don't have a weak military. You don't have a military. So the war on masculinity is leaked into every facet of our lives, including the military. And that's really dangerous. The importance of traditional masculinity is the patriarchy. And the patriarchy is good for everyone. Like, if you have a turkey farm, it's all females. You throw in a male, he's not there to make more turkeys. They're done. They're going to die that year. There's just an order it magically imposes when a man is on a farm. And that's why a lot of farmers will have a bull with their cows, not because he's there to breed, but because there's something about a bull when it's around cows that it makes the cows behave better. And that's true of human society. Like, if these commie Marxist LGBTQ weirdos ever got their utopia, they would be the first to go. Gays, lesbians, everything, and minorities, they're safest under our rule.
It's funny because the one military in the world, I mean, Israel's military is pretty macho. They do have women who participate, I should say, and I don't know enough about that to judge it. But under Pete Hegseth, first of all, they changed it from the Department of Defense to the Department of War. They're aesthetically pumping out all sorts of ads that look extremely, violent, as opposed to a place of diversity. And Hegseth himself goes out and does push-ups and trains with the men. I think they're trying to re-masculate the military. They called all the generals together for a huddle in D.C., and it was actually, we're going to get rid of the affirmative action business, to get rid of the world's greenest military. So I think that what they're doing there is symbolic, but it's much deeper than that. It realizes that men, young men, they're going to fight. The only question is, what will they fight for and how will they do it? I don't know. I mean, this will take men who are brimming with emotion and channel it in a patriotic way, as opposed to, anything else, which would be worse, I suppose.
Yeah, we had a formula for this. This is not rocket science. I really feel like in many ways we peaked in the 80s and early 90s, and then somehow we lost the plot and decided that fat, ugly lesbians should be in charge. And it's the demise of the West. And I think with Trump, that was sort of a turning point. I mean, Britain is way behind. Canada is still self-sabotaging with this Mark Manley loser. But I think with Trump, it's sort of signified a general change in the entire Western world, which is, we're mad as hell and we're not going to take it anymore. Like, we played your game for a while and we're not doing it. I've noticed this with racism too. Like, 2 years ago, you called me racist and I would go, no, that's not, you're misunderstanding. Let me explain the context. And now someone calls you that and you just go, yeah, whatever. That word doesn't exist to me. Like, at my local bar the other day, this black woman, she wanted like the beer to be free. And I just interjected. I go, you're talking about a buyback, and you get that after maybe 5 drinks. The beers here are $5. That's the cheapest rate around. So I don't know what you're complaining about. And she goes, just a black woman living in a white man's world. Now, 2 years ago, I would have went, it's not about that. It's about and this time, and this is only a few years later, everyone around me just laughed. We just went, okay, yeah, sure. Like, we've done being ashamed